computer. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, Andrew.
I'm so excited to have you on here, Amanda Hamilton from Amanda Hamilton Design, one of our local Calgary EO members. And yeah, why don't you give just a little bit of an introduction of who you are and why you're here?
Yeah, for sure. Amanda of Amanda Hamilton Interior Design. I also have a business called Palette Archives. And yeah, we do cool projects with stylish people. That's our motto. So we love working with people who, want to create incredible spaces. We work across multiple different markets, both residential, commercial. We work with developers and we work with people across Canada. So that keeps life busy right now. And I'm here because I'm your guinea pig for this first podcast, right? I was like, sure, I'll do this.
Yeah, what do we call this? A podcast or a vlog or something like that? But
I don't even know. All I know is I've got some champagne on the countertop, a cartridge. There's a bunch of mail over here. Really prepped for this.
This is supposed to be super casual, and the intention of these are to be bite-sized bits, 10-minute interviews with local EO members, just to learn a little bit of what their life is all about, and hopefully some entrepreneurs can take some takeaways from this. So I guess kind of the big question, you mentioned that you're in many markets across Canada, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs are wondering, how did you navigate this whole last year?
Oh, wow. I mean, it's such a big topic. I won't say the C word because I just don't want to say it anymore. But, it was actually really surprising. And I feel incredibly grateful that actually for us, the last year has been really fantastic. We were able to significantly increase our revenue in the last year just simply because there are so many professionals at home. So they're looking at their homes and they're not spending their money anywhere. And so a lot of people have been reinvesting it into their current homes. Obviously, with the housing boom over the summer, there's a lot of people buying homes that need renovations and furniture. And then we've also seen a significant uptake in clients buying vacation properties, and then us helping out with those vacation properties. And I think really it just gets down to the fact that people are just so much more present with their spaces now, and they're reevaluating how much time they're spending at work, and where they actually want to spend their time. And a lot of people are, sitting at their second properties, looking out the lake, doing Zoom and working versus, sitting at home. So I think it's been a really interesting transition. I am very curious and maybe a little bit nervous to see what happens when all of this adjusts, but I think as a Calgarian, like many of us, I'm pretty bullish and really positive in terms of how I think, Calgarians are going to bounce back from this. So it's been a difficult year because we've been very busy, very full, but it's been a really rewarding year. So I can't really complain about that, but my team is exhausted and we need some vacations soon for sure.
That's awesome. And when you talk about your team, how long have you been in business for?
Formally incorporated for, I think 12 years now. And then I sort of moonlit. How do you?
Moonlit.
I moonlit.
Moonlited.
I was moonlighting while I was working at another firm for a couple of years. So we're kind of going on about 15 years of being in business. And obviously through that have seen a number of recessions like all of us have, ups and downs. And so it's been very interesting navigating all of them and what they've brought to the table for sure.
Totally. And so for that long, what's something that you wish that you would have known when you started, or something that if you could go back and tell the younger Amanda the best piece of advice, what would that be?
Oh, this is a tough one. Maybe join EO earlier. I think, many of us, may or maybe not, some of us are accidental entrepreneurs. I didn't go to business school. I didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs. I wasn't taught anything. It was all just sort of, bootstrapped my business and learned along the way. So certainly I sometimes wonder what success might look like today and what opportunities I might have had today, had I had more resources that were available to me, through an organization like EO. Just simple things like paying attention to your numbers and regular meetings, with your executive team and just sort of, how you're running your studio. But with that said, I don't know that I would change anything.
Yeah.
Other than to say that, yeah, it would have been nice to be a little bit more engaged in a community of entrepreneurs earlier on.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then, we're talking about that kind of having a little bit more tools for your challenges and so on. Outside of obviously COVID, I shouldn't say the C word, but the last year, now we're gonna have a pop-up on the screen. But other than last year, which has been challenging for certain people in certain ways, what's been, when you think back of the last kind of 12, 13 years, what was one significant challenge that you went through that maybe some people do know, but some people might not know? Everybody thinks that entrepreneurship is just so glamorous, but what's a challenge that you maybe didn't see coming?
Yeah, this actually shows up on my Lifeline when I present. Is I think it was in 2016 or 2017 when I was awarded top 40 under 40. And it was actually probably one of the lowest points of my career. And so for me, it was a real challenge. Like, here I was being acknowledged with this, in Calgary, this very prestigious award that, many of us, hope to get before we turn 40. And it was when my business was actually struggling the most. So I think, one of the biggest challenges was when I grew my team and grew my business exponentially, but not keeping an eye on my numbers as much as I should have been, not keeping an eye on my team as much as I should have been. And I think the big thing is not having the processes in place. So, this time around, when we grew dramatically during COVID, we were 7 prior, then we went down to 4. And then within a matter of months, we were up to 10 people.
Wow.
So we were set up for success this time because we had so many more processes in place. And it's just sometimes by luck and chance that I'm still here today, because when I look back and I think about all the things that we do now as an organization versus, 5 years ago, it blows me away. Actually, it blows me away. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so kind of getting to the end of us connecting today, you've written yourself a book that's coming out, but other than your own book, that's going to be released, what's kind of your top business book or top book that you've read or recommend to people?
Yeah, actually, the one I almost always recommend to people is Mavericks at Work. It was actually the book that I read that propelled me to create our sister company called Palette Archives. And it's all about disruption. And I know that that's become a bit of a buzzword, but this book was written well before that. And it's super interesting because it allows you to look at other industries. I think sometimes we can get a little bit like micro, and we're like, what are our competitors doing? How are they running their business? And I'm far more interested in going, what is your business doing as an example? And is there any methodologies? Is there any processes that we wouldn't traditionally consider for our industry that might work? Right. And so I love the idea of like looking at other industries and traditional industries that have really disrupted it. Like banking is a perfect example. Insurance is a perfect example. So I always think of Palette Archives as being like the TurboTax for interior design. There are people that are going to hire the accountant, and there's the person that's going to do TurboTax on their own. There's people that are going to hire an interior designer, and people that are going to use Palette Archives and sort of do it themselves. So Mavericks at Work is a really great one if you're really thinking about like, how do I shake things up, and how do I look at other industries in terms of how they've done this in the past. So it's a really great historical sort of coverage and lots of case studies of how other businesses have done this.
That's awesome. Really insightful. And so, this first episode is brought to you by one of our sponsors for EO, CBRE. I know you've had experience with CBRE. Maybe just touch briefly on, the impact that CBRE's had on you and your business.
Yeah. And, I've known the guys at CBRE and the gals, but I have worked mostly with the guys at CBRE over the years with my clients. And that's how I've sort of gotten to know them. So it was, a great pleasure to then turn around and be able to work with them. So John Fisher had a big hand in getting us our office space and really working hard to negotiate what we were looking for. So, allowing dogs in the space, allowing us to have bikes in our space, and really working with our landlords who were incredible to kind of bring us in as one of the early tenants in a really cool concept. They're doing this interior market and everything, and there's restaurants that are happening in there. So I feel really grateful again to have worked with him and to have CBRE behind my back, and to now be in this incredible new office that my team gets to call home.
That's awesome. And just kind of last plug, obviously, for Entrepreneur Organization Calgary. How long have you been part of the organization?
I guess this is 3 years now. And I also joined the board. So I am your
Amazing.
learning chair. So, talk to me if you need to, you know where to find me. And I hope that we have a fantastic year with in-person speakers. I'm doing all that I can.
Yeah, preach about that. Well,
Yes.
thanks so much, Amanda. I'm so happy that we could do this, and it was pretty flawless for the most part. So we can only go up from here. But I really appreciate you taking the time with me today, and hopefully people find value from our talk.
Absolutely. I look forward to hearing all of these with other people that you do and getting to know them a little bit more.
Definitely.
Yeah.